Hey, it's Susan Ragsdale from Right Creations Group. I'm here today with Jonna Laidlaw and my interviews on underground understanding of reflection. And Jonna has a couple decades under her belt of working with youth in a variety of settings that range from group homes to pregnant and parenting teens to alcohol prevention to her current position, which is teaching youth workers how to work better with young people in leadership, especially in residential treatment programs. So I'm really excited because she has direct service experience and she has the direct experience of training others to equip them. So that does my heart good. Jonna, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to just jump right in and let's talk about reflection. How has that been an important part for you in your work? What's reflection mean to you?
Well, I think long ago in my work with teens, I found that we could have fun, we could do activities, we could do a lot of things in the community, we could do community service, and they had a good time. And that was nice, but I really wanted them to get more out of it and to really think about what they had accomplished and what they had done. And so when I started coming across reflection activities and things to do with them, even simple questions to ask, it just helped me to really get them to have that little moment of thinking through and processing. What did I just do? How did that feel? What was this like? And just having that ability to really think through what they were actually doing in the moment.
So when you started asking questions and doing that and helping develop their skills of critical thinking, did you get an immediate response of openness, or did you have to learn tricks to draw them out and get them to engage more?
Good question. I started with the standard what, so what, now what? And that got me some answers, and then it became repetitive, and they got bored with it. I kind of had a captive audience at the time because I would take young people out after school to do community service projects. So I was driving them in the van. So the next thing I did was take a whole list of questions that I found and put it in the van notebook. So when I was driving the van, I would say, who would like to read the reflection question today? And they would open that notebook and have a question to ask everybody else in the van, and everybody had to make a stab at answering it. So that got a little farther because they were kind of, like I said, captive audience. They were there. So that kind of evolved a little bit more. And they would all answer a single question. And then they're like, oh, that's done. We're over that.
But you engage them as leaders too,
Yes.
let them to or do the question or whatever. So you were evolving that aspect of ownership and reflection too, which is great. So then that evolved and got you so far. Did you have a next launching point to make reflection more exciting and doable?
They got really used to that. And I did have a great story that I took them one time at the beginning of the school year. And this elementary school had just been completely refurbished. A day or two before school starts, teachers haven't had time to unpack their boxes, put anything up in the rooms. The rooms are just barren. They've just been redone. So I took a crew of my young people over there, and we spent the day, and we set up teachers' rooms and put up books on bookshelves and just help them get settled and get some things going in their rooms, some bright colors up for the young people that were coming. So on the way home, one of my young men said, give me the notebook, I'll ask a question. I said, actually, I have a question for you today. And I said, who did you help? Well, we helped the teachers, and it was really fun, and we had a good time, and we did this, and we put up the books, and they're explaining all of that. And then I said, who else did you help? And they're thinking, and they're like, well, I guess the kids that are coming, because their rooms are going to be settled. The teachers are going to feel better about starting the school year. And so the kids that come to the school tomorrow will be happy. I said, who else did you help? So I proceeded to ask that same question, and it just took them deeper and deeper, and they started thinking about the application of what they had just done. On first thought, it was, well, we helped the teachers. That's who we helped. But they got to the principal, the parents, because their kids are going to be happier at school tomorrow, the janitor and the custodian staff, because they did a lot of cleanup and preparation for the school day. So that's when I really saw going deep, and that you could ask a very simple question over and over again, and yet it would take them to a much deeper place where they could really think through their accomplishment and what they did today. And I think that just really stuck with me, that there is that deeper moment that they can really process. And some of those young people I've met with, I met a young lady for lunch the other day, and she was talking about how much that meant to her, just the whole process of reflection, and how that's been important even since she left my program.
So obviously I heard a lot of benefits in there in what you were saying, and that's why reflection is important. Mm-hmm. In your role now, you're trying to convey to youth workers the importance of making reflection an activity in and of itself. It's part mm-hmm. of the programming. So what are some of the hurdles that you have as a trainer and a leader? What are some of the hurdles you're having to get through, you know, in their own mindset or whatever, and how are you helping overcome those?
Well, we do a basic training, and we actually had a discussion recently about kind of stepping up the part about reflection, because I see them taking on the program that we're doing and really using it with the young people, enjoying the curriculum, enjoying the service learning aspect. But reflection sometimes tends to be, oh, that other thing, we're supposed to ask them some questions, and just kind of, oh, let's get this out of the way, check, I did it, that kind of thing. And so we're really trying to get those youth workers to understand that whole process that I just talked about, that the young people learn, they solidify their thoughts, their ideas, their values, their skills through that process of reflection. So really, we're doing a lot more emphasis on that. When I go do site visits with them, I'm always asking about that. We have on our database where they put in what piece of, for their service learning projects, they talk about planning, the action, the reflection, and the celebration. So I'm asking them fairly often, what was that reflection piece? What did you do? And typically right now it's a lot of just questions. And we've had some sheets of paper around here with reflection activities. They're very old. When you run the copy, they're kind of blurred. And so giving them some really solid, here are reflection activities, I think is going to be very important in our next step in getting them to really access and be intentional about doing the reflection process.
You know, it sounds like you just made a perfect segue for me to plug the book. But before I plug our book, I want to ask you one last question, which is, what is your current new favorite reflection activity?
Well, I've looked through your book.
The old ones, not the new one coming.
The old ones. I shifted the what, so what, now what to be head, heart, feet. And so I ask young people, what's in your head? What did you think about? What did we just do? You know, what was that like for you? And then what's in your heart? How'd you feel about that? So I rattle off a bunch of feelings because young people tend to not necessarily know words for feelings other than mad, sad, and glad. So I rattle off some feelings that they might have felt and get them to connect with their heart and how they felt about what they just accomplished or service that they did or activity. And then the feet part, I start to ask them some questions about how are they going to use what they learned about themselves today. So if you learn that you need to stand next to somebody and work next to them to communicate and feel connected to them, then what does that mean when you go to school or when you're at home with your family? You learn something about yourself. How are you going to think about those other relationships with that new knowledge? So getting them to apply what they've learned.
And relevance, you're connecting it back to relevance, which is going to help deepen it all the more, as you know. Well, Jonna, I loved having you on here. I love hearing your stories because they're real, they're grounded, and you have a lot to offer the field. So thank you for taking time to do this. Great group reflection, 60 compelling challenges to prompt self-discovery and critical thinking is coming out. Check Amazon out in August and go buy it. Thank you, Jonna.
Thank you.